All right, welcome back. You're still watching NTV Sport Nice. Thank you so much for making the time always. My name is Gistin, together with the usual panelists, I should say. We are here to break down whatever is happening in the world of sports. But one more time to remind you that our poll question is already up on our social media platforms. It is NTV Uganda across all the platforms. We are asking you to use just one word to describe what unfolded at the Mandela National Stadium on Saturday. But also to remind you as well that we are proudly brought to you by Plascon, who say, please color your world. And it is that time on the show tonight. Our guest is here. His name is Harold Atukwase. If you've been around football, you know him from... He wears different caps, but for the sake of tonight's conversation, he is here as the director at Solitio Bright Stars FC, but also a lawyer. These days, it's for trading carefully. Eh? The times are not very good, so it is important that you have a lawyer close to you anytime things can turn around. But Harold, good to have you. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gistin. I'm very happy to be here. I'm an ardent fan of the show, so
thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we are set, Harold. Where do we even start? Let's start with what has been unfolding in the last couple of days between FUFA and clubs regarding the new Uganda Premier League format. I'm sure you've been following it all. I'll ask about how Bright Stars are doing in the big league much later. But let's start off with what has been unfolding between FUFA and the clubs regarding the new Uganda Premier League format.
Well, it's. I can't say it's a good site. I can't say it's a good thing. We've had a lot of back and forth between FUFA and some clubs, and lately between FUFA and Vipers Sports Club. A few days ago, or I think a month ago, FUFA came out and put out competition reforms, which some clubs agreed to at first. Then later on retracted their positions and then changed their minds later on and said, for us, we agree with this and we're willing to go ahead with it. Villa and Vipers came out and opposed them outrightly and gave their reasons. Villa finally budged and agreed to play in the interest of the players and
under protest and duress.
Yeah, under protest and duress. I'm yet to wrap my head around what that means exactly.
You know, growing up, playing under protest meant that before the football game started, the team that is playing under protest takes a picture with the referee.
With the referees.
Also take a picture with the captain of the other team.
Yes. To sort of like say, we agree but we don't agree. Let's have this game go ahead for the sake of the game and then we'll sort our issues out. Later. But then Vipers stood their ground and said they would not take part in the league under the new reforms. And for the first time, I think, Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa came out and spoke publicly on behalf of the club. I think it's the first time in a long time that we've seen him come out in his personal capacity as club president and say, look, I'll not take part in this competition. He gave a lot of reasons, some of which I agree with. And I think he's justified.
You speak about Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa finally coming out to speak in his capacity. And like you've said, that's in a long time. So that tells you how big this is. Yeah, it's not so often that he's going to be speaking, over issues regarding the team and the league. How big is this an issue? Maybe who knows, someone could be thinking we are blowing it out of proportion.
No, for people who have been in Ugandan football long enough, we've seen similar things to this. We saw the time we had 2 leagues. And it took us a few steps back. We saw a few years ago, if you're speaking international football, when we didn't have a national stadium, it took us a few years back in terms of people supporting the Cranes. Now this is one other big thing, because we've just hosted the CHAN, which is primarily based on club football. And you'll all agree with me that it was a success in terms of how we've done at previous CHANs, in terms of the organization locally, and most importantly, in terms of state involvement, in terms of the government of Uganda getting involved. We've seen the president commit, we've seen the first lady commit, the minister of education commit, we've seen Honorable Peter Ogwang commit to supporting Ugandan football. This is a time when we all thought that, in the words of Honorable Matia Kasaija, we were taking off. We were taking off. But unfortunately, I mean, a few weeks from CHAN, we still have all the eyeballs on Uganda for CHAN, all the good reasons for CHAN. This comes up. I think the actual reforms came out during CHAN, around the 20th of August. That's, I think, when the circular came out. And it didn't get much attention because, I mean, CHAN was still going on. And matches were out of the tournament, but people thought maybe this will pass, or people will play, or people won't play. Nobody thought that the Vipers president would pull that cat out of the bag and say, look, we will not do this. I thought it was an opportunity for us to capitalize on the gains from CHAN and, I mean, continue. I'm sure even the federation...
That on the screen is the latest Vipers letter, making it crystal clear that they're not going to honor that fixture against Chitara. Go on.
You'd think that would capitalize on the gains from CHAN, and I think even the federation was thinking along those lines, and they said, you know what, let's take the country to Namboole. A few weeks ago, they filled this stadium and enjoyed the football game there. So they were thinking along those lines. If maybe this was in the old format, we had a double head, I think, last season, Bull, Vipers, and
test games for Namboole.
KCCA, Villa, and the stadium was full. Stadium was full to capacity. A few months later on, we can't even get, I don't know how many people are in, 100, 150, I don't know. But you feel like we didn't need any negative energy around the positivity that we had picked from CHAN. It's an abhorrent sight to see the pictures on the screen.
On the screen can tell you the entire story.
Good. Okay, so on the left is the old format, you know, the picture from
that's the day we had the test games.
The test games. And then old format, new format. Let's just use that. Let's just use that.
It's the same place.
No, but also for clarity, because also on that very day, the pictures on your left, Villa were taking on KCCA, and Vipers were playing Bull. So that was the state of Namboole that day in the old formats. And on the right is the state of Namboole when Vipers were supposed to be playing Chitara and KCCFC were playing Sports Club.
The picture on the right is torturing, It's psychological.
I think the 4 teams are the most supported teams in the country right now. So you'd expect a capacity crowd. You'd expect a capacity crowd. That reminds me of the days URA and Villa used to host games at Namboole.
But also, Harold, to roll it back a bit, when you look at, for example, what a club like Vipers is raising, the issues it is raising in trying to protest these new reforms, but also when you look at what FIFA is trying to solve, to make the league more competitive, to try and make sure every game is a final. Every game is a final. What do you make of that? What do you make of those reasons to make it more competitive? The league has not been competitive?
The league has been very competitive in the last days. Trust me, as someone who's been at the helm of a club that has taken part in 8 Premier League seasons, the last 3, I think, have been the most competitive seasons.
Have all been decided on the wire?
Yeah, on the wire. I remember last season but one, the season that Villa won it. If Bright Stars hadn't beaten Chitara at Kavumba, Chitara could have gone on to win it.
I remember that game.
It would have been a 3 or 4 horse race with Bull in there, Villa in there, Chitara in there, and I think Vipers and Nick.
Even the one Vipers won, if Villa beat URA at Wankurukuku, they're a champion.
Yes. Exactly.
That's the season when the trophy was being carried in a chopper.
And KCC was in the question. Vipers was in the question. I remember Vipers, I think, beat Busoga 5-0.
KCC beat Bright Stars at Lugogo, I remember.
Bright Stars at Lugogo. That has been those were competitive seasons. The most recent one, the one that Vipers won, was competitive too. Very competitive until the last games of the season. Now, also these same last 3 seasons produced the CHAN team, which we're all hailing for doing so well. These last seasons also produced 2 new clubs on the scene that we didn't think would come up and compete that easily. Nick has come up, Chitara has come up. They're holding their own. So for someone to say the league was not competitive, that's a mishap. But also, I think when you have the trend that we had with the competition we've just talked about, the best thing to do is to harness that competition. I hope I'm going to make a political to protect those gains. Harold. The producer will blur that out.
and you talk about protecting gains, because I want to ask you, like you said, you've been at the helm of a club that has been playing in the top flight for 8 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Harold, you've dealt with FUFA more closely than all of us.
Yeah.
How are they in situations like this?
Because most of us are just speculating.
Yeah. How are they? Are they receptive? Because I remember after the meeting that was held at the Serena with these clubs, the FUFA's president saying, you know, we liked the meeting, we were sharing ideas. The circular that moved out after that statement was different from someone who likes the meeting and likes sharing ideas. So how are they as a federation in moments like this?
No, I'll start with an example. In my years dealing with FUFA, one of the most distasteful things was that you never get enough prior notice. For example, and you can take it from this, you're giving reforms and you're giving people a month to adjust their affairs and take part in the tournament. I think they would do better trying to consult if they were a consultative body, because it's a federation of Uganda football associations. There's so many of us in there, the 16 UPL clubs, some big league clubs and regions and all of that. You do very well to consult. For example, we had an AGM recently, the one where the current FUFA president was, when his term was extended. It was a good time to say, oh my guys, we might have some reforms coming up. Here is a document, please. Look it over, give us your views and things of the sort. Not that that was the most opportune moment to bring such reforms. I believe the most opportune time was 3 years ago. But yes, how are they? I think they would do better in that sector. Try and consult your stakeholders. Even sometimes when you already have a position, just come out and say, Clive, what do you think? Emanzi, what do you think? How do we go about
They insist
this?
that it happened. Breasters, before getting relegated, was a member of the FUFA assembly.
If you look at the FSL members, you're still...
No, I'm just saying, you're a member of the FUFA assembly, meaning that you attend the annual general assemblies and probably other meetings that a FUFA call. The last time we had the discussion of this nature and we had a FUFA representative who is Hagmedu saying, he kept on insisting that the new league format and reforms were presented at a FUFA AGM and it was passed by members. Has such thing ever happened?
I'll tell you what, Clive, nothing of the sort has happened before. Everybody in football, the UPL clubs, and unfortunately has not heard of these reforms first time in July.
This year?
When the CEOs were called, yes, this year, when the CEOs were called for a meeting to come and look and discuss. Now, it's at that meeting that you're supposed to call a consultative meeting. But it's in July. The season is supposed to start in September. And leave the season aside. The season has already started because you're already licensing, already participating in licensing. July is...
Teams are back training.
Vipers was in pre-season in June. URA around the same time and KCC around the same time. So the season is already going. If you focus on the institutional clubs, their budgets were already passed in April of that year by the Ministry of Finance, and they said, look, you have 10 million, you have 15, you have 20. So if you come out and add 4 games, add this reform, add that reform, add this, double header this, loss of income here, those are things that need 3 years, a 3-year cycle for introduction.
Prepare people, give people time to plan and
the closest example is, you remember the time of the European Super League? Everybody, even us here in Kampala, we were caught. We had a fever of, oh, this thing is coming. Arsenal came out, I think Liverpool, Manchester United, or like Madrid, Barcelona, will not take part in the next season of the Champions League. We're all against this Champions League and whatever UEFA is proposing. What did UEFA do? That was in 2021. UEFA went, took the message, consulted the European Clubs Association, consulted the FIFPro, consulted the Players Associations and the FAs. And 3 years later, in 2024-25, last season, is when we first saw a new format in the UEFA Champions League. 3 years. These are people who have the capacity to adjust to such a reform in a week. But they'll give it 3 years, look it over, test it somewhere. Today I saw that in the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, they're testing the green card. This is something that we'll see maybe in 5 years.
They're testing the green card and managers calling for reviews. I think every team has 3 reviews.
Yes, that's the green card.
If you're not comfortable with the decision, you can ask for it for the review, for the review to review the video assistant review, stuff like that.
They're testing it. When we see it at the World Cup in 2026, or maybe not even 2026, like 2030, or in the Premier League or in the Champions League, it won't be a new idea to the stakeholders.
But also, you're testing it with stakeholders so that when you put it out, we don't have people protesting. The same people you claim that you consulted. But and as the Manzi comes in, Harold, Karim, let's have the video of Namboole, because I want to pick your mind on what that site looks like for you. Because I was in Namboole, like I said. I don't think I have yet the right word to describe what?
Yeah, but by the way, we need to give a post-mortem.
I think that's a game.
We shouldn't be.
First game.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's Namboole. I think we have better videos. Sure.
Karim, a better video is loading. A better video is loading.
But you don't need a better one to know that
apologies, it didn't come in. A better video is loading. But you need to give a clear post-mortem of what exactly transpired at Namboole.
Yeah, but Harold, to start with you, when you saw how loud. Was it loud? It was silent.
Was.
Okay. When you see how loud the silence was, if that makes sense, or if you get what I mean, what came into your mind?
The one thing that kept running in my mind was that this sets us 10 years back. This sets us 10 years back. And I'll tell you why I say that. As someone who's superintended a smaller club, you always look forward to these games. KCC Bright Stars at Kavumba, it's probably a 7 million in your pockets. SC Villa Bright Stars, it's probably another 7. Chitara, Vipers, it's money. It's money, and that's big money for a club like that. And you can even stretch it to the Chitaras that are making the 50s and the 60 millions from a KCC versus Chitara game. Now, if fans are staying away from the stadium, that's... I'll paint a picture that a small club like Bright Stars will spend a minimum of 600 million a season. And you need multiple sources to garner that money in.
So that's
That's the first game.
Chitara walking out majestically.
Chitara and the referee.
That sends you. That's
walking out majestically with only the match officials.
I would love to pick the mind of Deo Kasozi, because Chitara playing Vipers in Butema, the lists under normal circumstances, the list they could have made out of that game is probably 25 million. The list. Now, I want to pick his mind. If, let's say, for instance, Vipers showed up at Namboole, if you would have been satisfied with how much they would have gotten in gate collections for a team that was supposed to be hosting their games in Butema, and now you're being told that you're hosting Vipers at Namboole. Because I remember they had about 25 fans that showed up, and they are trying to make their presence.
I don't think I understand what you're saying when you say you want to pick Deo's mind.
I would love to pick his mind.
The reason I'm saying I don't understand what you say.
No, do you know why I'm saying that? Why? Because he's been a big advocate of such. Now, after the scenes at Namboole, I would love to pick his mind. If he still believes this kind of arrangement is what that will take Ugandan football, and Chitara in particular, to the next level. I'm
going to judge him. I don't think Deo is about to change his mind. But Emanzi, and as you come in again, Harold, I need you to finish, because those scenes, you said 10 years ago, but that picture is never going to get out of my mind.
It takes us 10 years back. It's in the same category with the people who used to throw stones at Wankulukuku and other venues, same category as Villa 22, a call one.
Look at
things
that.
You never want to see again.
That.
Things that put the game into
Look at the face
disrepute.
of the referee. Karim, let's have that clip again, the one that has a close-up of Shamila Nabada.
Yeah.
She was smiling, but you know the sarcastic smile of, I can't believe this, all through. The previous clip, Karim, please. Clearly, you could see from that she also can't believe what she's about to, I don't know if I should say officiate or something. Look at her.
But those are all FIFA referees we are subjecting to such thuggery.
But maybe in retrospect, it's a good thing.
Look at Shamila. Look at Shamila. She cannot believe what is unfolding before her eyes.
Yeah, but we got an emergency committee meeting, so maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's the wake-up call that we all needed, and we'll turn the leaf.
We need to give a postmortem of what we had to go through at Namboole. And maybe, Karim, we've shared the video. Maybe we can have it run. Because we got at Namboole at about 2:30. We bought our own tickets, so we get at Namboole at about 2:30.
Because you were never going to get a
we get to the main gate, which is the western gate, trying to get access. And I remember that they are found at the gate who stood up and stretched and said, it's time to start working. So for me, clearly, that was an indicator that we were the first people at Namboole. And then we were told we could not get in through the western gate. Of course, our tickets were saying northern gate. So we had to trek all the way to the northern gate. We get to the northern gate, we find more Afandes there who were sending us back to western gates, and at that point you should have seen Gistim's face, because the reason they were sending us back to western gates was they weren't ready. The Afandes were there, but there were no people who are going to be doing this the scanning of the tickets. The walk-through machine had not, they didn't have power for the walk-through machine, so they could not allow people to go through the northern gates. The funder makes a phone call because we were told him that we were at the western gate. They told us we could not go through. So we walked back to the western gates, and it was there that we managed to access the venue. Getting into Mandela National Stadium, our tickets are reading northern, but you're like, let's try let's gamble and go through gate 12 that gets you to the VVIP section. And we went through without any trouble, because I remember actually meeting a gentleman at the gate who welcomed us warmly, and he told us it is free seating. You can sit wherever you want.
To have trouble for
it is free seating, because they had initially made a decision that they are only going to be using the western gate, but they hadn't communicated it, because I think they had sensed that funds are not going to come in. Because also got information around Wednesday that about 1,500 fans had bought tickets. Namboole can take up to 40,000 spectators. But I think after Viper's letter coming out and FOFA realizing that the ticket sales were not moving as they had anticipated, so they resorted to using just one gate, which was a western gate. Because we also got information on our way to Namboole that they were giving out complimentary tickets that to university students at St. Lawrence, MOBS, KIU, and Mutesa Royal in Mengo. But if you're going to give university students tickets, you need to give them transport to come to Namboole. They didn't show up, so did the fans. Some of the fans who bought tickets also didn't show up. And like this thing we're saying, we were about 150 fans.
To make it simple,
in that,
wherever you were seated, you could communicate with whoever is seated the extreme side.
Exactly. So it was an ugly scene to see on
and
the day.
We have plenty of videos. I don't understand, Karim. We have plenty of videos from Namboole, because I was in Namboole, Clive was in Namboole, so we have plenty of videos. But also generally, that videos across.
They are probably the same, all with empty seats. So
no, they're different. For Chitara, when Chitara is on the pitch, but also when SC Villa playing KCCA.
Yeah, but I think it's very unfortunate, and I mean, if this was supposed to show for anything, I think the communication is that while you look at all these stakeholders, the fans are big as well, because KCCA, Vipers, and all these people that organize football matches, they do not come to play for the administrators of the clubs or the FUFA officials. They come to entertain the fans. These are the people who buy tickets to get in. These are the people that
you're selling the product too.
Yeah, that purchase merchandise and all that. So if the double header that is pretty much organized by FIFA was supposed to be the thing, the next big thing for Ugandan football, I think it is dead on arrival. If you look at
now, you see those few people in there.
Yeah.
That's when SC Villa and KCC were just about to play. You know,
those are not people.
Yeah.
Those are different colors of seats.
No, there are few people. There are just a few people who are seated on a few people who are seated on our left.
Yeah.
You know, in the last seats, top. Those are the people I'm speaking about. There were just a handful, just about 40 or 30.
Yeah, and I mean, all this is made worse by the fact that as FIFA, you're now involved in organizing these matches, and you already have fans that are not really, in whose eyes you're not popular. So if these games were, say, at Lugogo, and it is KCC calling on their fans to come and watch a game against SC Villa, maybe the numbers would have been much bigger and trying to come and support their club. But you have FIFA involved, and it is the same federation that fans feel like they are not really happy with, and with whatever they are doing. So if the double header was supposed to I don't know, to correct anything about what we had before, clearly it hasn't worked, because Harold mentioned, I think we were all in Namboole with that double header when they were reopening the stadium. And you could see the excitement and the vibe from everyone. You could see the numbers that we had at Chan. I think that would easily tell you that people are back to the stadiums, and people are supporting their clubs. If you see the numbers that have been going to Chitara games, if you see the numbers that go to the Vipers matches or KCC or Villa, and then compare with what you had on Saturday, I think it's a clear testament that the fans have a voice and they've got to be listened to. So as you do any consultations, if there are any, because clearly from
so those are
the Chitara fans. They are less than 10 actually.
Yeah, they actually showed up. They were drumming all through the game. They even applauded their players after they had played, you know, against themselves.
Yeah,
you know.
and that's a game that was supposed to be back at their home. And I mean, you watch the matches they played against Vipers last season, and the crowds that they had. They usually declare the numbers from gate collection.
You're waiting for them to declare?
They have taken 72 hours later.
I don't know what they got from this, but it's quite unfortunate.
Harold, you know, even when Vipers made it crystal clear that they were not going to show up, we saw the Uganda Premier League and FIFA going on to market the game and, you know, sell tickets. What does that say about a federation? Because the team has communicated to its fans, or even fans of Ugandan football, but you're going on to market. What does that say? To promote and sell the tickets.
People buy tickets.
What does that say?
I'll start with the question to you, Clive. Did you get your refund?
No, I watched
you paid for 2, got 1. Or did you also watch the Chitara game?
No, we watched both games. We watched one game that lasted 30 minutes, and we waited for the other. So.
What I can say is, and I'm using this reservedly, is that the federation was very arrogant in believing that Ugandan football stakeholders, the biggest stakeholder in Ugandan football, would show up amidst all that chaos. Football is entertainment. If a movie came out today and people were giving it bad reviews, no one would watch that movie. It will do very bad at the box office. It's the same thing that happened. Vipers puts out a statement, but because we, unlike Dr. Molindwa said, because we have egos, we still think that everybody else will bow and listen to us and do us as we please. Good enough or bad enough for football, people answered, and their message was very clear. I think the Daily Monitor headlines today, both the front and back, were very, very, very indicative of what happened on that day, and the message was very clear. We have an emergency meeting going on. I hope it's going on right now. Hopefully something good will come out of that.
Again, takes me to what I asked you earlier on, Harold. Knowing the federation and having dealt with it a bit more closely than all of us, are they the type that you think, for example, will take the message, because over time, ever since the season started, fans have clearly been calling for boycotting of the Uganda Premier League games, but the federation did listen. Now, after this Namboole embarrassment, do you think they will finally listen? Even
when they decided to start having the consultative meetings with different stakeholders, they never bothered to actually engage the fans.
First of all, the stakeholders are maybe fourfold.
So that was a promotion of the double. It was serious. It was serious business.
It's the first time we're seeing this.
Yeah, you know, in a long time.
So it was fourfold. The stakeholders are maybe fourfold, and in my view, you have the clubs, you have the fans, you have the UPL and the federation. I'll lump them together, and then you have the broadcaster, Star Times, who did not say anything about broadcasting this game or anything.
Has been quiet throughout this entire saga.
Yeah, it has been quiet. But
because they're in a catch-22. They have viewed the subscribers who buy their products. You're not happy.
That was in a bar somewhere, I think.
That was at Comedy Store.
You can see.
Somewhere in Kololo.
Goodness me.
This would be very good under normal circumstances.
Normal circumstances.
We would all be in Namboole after seeing that with so many new fans.
I think the most unfortunate bit, because FUFA are not looking at, when they talk about the double headers, they are not talking about Vipers versus UPDF. They are not talking about KCCA versus Buhimba. They are looking at the big matches.
Yeah, and yet in true spirit, that's what it should. It should be Vipers versus UPDF. And then the KCC Villa. So you pull up UPDF. So that next, everybody will now know there's a team called UPDF. And they host their games in Bombo from that double header. When you put those four out there, it's...
People can as well watch those four and go home.
Yeah, but also the other thing that it takes out of the league, that if KCCA were able to host Vipers and collect 30 million on their own, now they are in the mix of the double header, and the resources really go down greatly. So I think that is one of the biggest problems that the clubs have to face, and maybe if you talk about the competition in the league and all that, there are other things that you've got to factor in. That if you're taking away all these big matches from the clubs actually hosting them at their home grounds, there's something that you're pulling out of the league. The match that will be played at Namboole might not be the same as Vipers hosting Villa in Chitende, or KCCA hosting Villa at Lugogo, which is their really traditional home ground. So all these are things that are being pulled out of the league, and I think it's not a good thing.
Clive, you have 1 minute. We need to take a break. I'm hoping it's
maybe
an
when we return. I just
meeting.
wanted to transfer the Chigato duties to Harold, but maybe when we return after the break.
Chigato has given us something?
No. There's something I wanted to ask, and I'm sure with his legal brain he will be able to guide.
Perfect. So we still have Harold here, because I also want to ask, if someone bought their ticket for 20,000, you know, even when the match was still being advertised as a double head, in Uganda's constitution, what that amounts to fraud?
Probably not in Uganda's constitution.
But also maybe for clarity, maybe for clarity, by kickoff, tickets, the early bird tickets were still on sale.
Isn't that a record?
But also, I think the match happened. So there were two matches.
No. I mean, if someone told you that you're going to watch Chitara Vipers and you bought your ticket
and one
with that expectation, with that, you know what Chitara Vipers is. There's no way anyone thought Chitara Vipers would be referees and Chitara. So you'd be entitled to a refund.
But a refund in the Ugandan context, we could spend 5 years on that.
Well, there are fans who got refunds during Chan and stuff like that.
That was in the CAF context.
Okay, maybe that was CAF.
Clive also knows, Chan is different. But anyway, we're going to take a very short break. When we do return, there is so much to still talk about that game. We also will be touching on that result between KCC and SC Villa, just slightly, because listen, it is no brainer that there is a bigger story surrounding that result between KCC and SC Villa. But also a poll question is up, so please feel free to head over there and share your feedback using just one word to describe what unfolded at the Mandela National Stadium, Namboole, on Saturday. When we do return, I'll be taking some of your feedback as we do go on with this discussion. Remember, we are proudly sponsored by Plascon. All right, welcome back. You're still watching NTV Sport Nights. The discussion does go on and on and on and on and on, and that's why our guest tonight, Harold, is still on set as we continue to try and put into perspective what unfolded before I what it says about Ugandan football. It will be the possible way out, because listen, after all, find a way out. We need to find a way out. When Harold speaks about something like this takes us 10 years back, that should be painful, but nevertheless, that's why we're here, to basically try and understand everything. But also, there is supposed to be an emergency meeting. And I'm saying there is supposed to be because we don't know if the meeting is on, we don't know if the meeting is done. The Sport Nights Chigato, Clive hasn't given a report. What's going on?
All my sources have not gotten any information about the meeting. So
how unfortunate.
It's a meeting that is supposed to be attended by the FIFA president, his 3 vice presidents, and 1 member of the executive committee. So clear.
Such a small number.
And with the president away in Congo Brazzaville for the CAF AGM, if he was to attend the meeting, obviously it's going to be virtual. Yeah. In the event that he's not able to attend the meeting, he delegates the first vice president, in this case was Justus Mugisha. So did Justus travel to Congo Brazzaville? So chances are that the meeting is virtual, but also when FIFA communicated 8 p.m, we'll probably also need to wonder which time zone was that, Congo Brazzaville time zone or the East African time
One thing is for sure.
But I had a question for Harold. That's why I was saying I wanted to
pass on the
Chigato issues to Harold. I've managed to see the agreement between StarTimes and FIFA or the Uganda Premier League, and I should be clause Article 2, clause 11, that says if FIFA or the Uganda Premier League are to change anything to do with the league, the format and stuff like that, they must write to StarTimes. That should be within 90 days. But then there's also another, if they are to change the league format and stuff like that, they must write to StarTimes in 30 days, but also they should never change anything about the league without the approval of StarTimes. What are the chances that they wrote to StarTimes, and what are the chances that StarTimes approved as per the agreement between these 2 entities?
That letter has not surfaced, because I mean the agreement clearly says that whatever communication is between the 2 has to be in writing. We've not seen that. There's been no statement from StarTimes, which for me is a bigger deafening silence than even some of the clubs that have bailed out, because you're the broadcaster. You're the person who, I think StarTimes pays 84 to 88 million to each club every year. So you are more than FIFA pays to any club in the league. So you're a big stakeholder, and ideally you're supposed to come out and pronounce yourself on such issues. We should have had a statement from StarTimes by now. And as the primary broadcaster, because I understand they licensed FIFA TV to broadcast some of the games, as a primary broadcaster, and to your audiences all over the world that watch the game on your platforms, you should have come out and said, look, the format is changing, and advertised this actually to sort of like, you want to make sales in the last 2-3 years of your contract. So they should have come out and put up a statement, but we haven't seen any. So Clive, I cannot be I'm not the actor Chigato.
Yeah, but also
I cannot
if I'm to go by my sources within the broadcast and the sponsor of the league, who is StarTimes in this case, like you've mentioned, that letter has never been written to them. So they also got to know about everything, just like the rest of the stakeholders. Yet the agreement is very clear. They must be consulted and they must approve.
But they're silent.
They have been silent. Let me tell you, the 3 parties to that agreement, the FIFA Super League Limited, the StarTimes as the broadcaster, and FIFA itself. FIFA has been the only party speaking about this thing. Not UPL, because UPL is the FSSL, FIFA Super League Limited, and then StarTimes. They have not said anything. You wonder why, because in law, you'd think that, actually not you'd think, in law, a company like FIFA Super League Limited would act through its directors. So the UPL is supposed to come out and speak on behalf of the Vipers and the KCCAs and all the rest. They should have at least called a meeting and said, guys, let's vote on this without FUFA. In all this, FUFA has the veto powers. So that means you don't even have to include them in your meetings as you deliberate. You have the majority, sit down, make a decision as...
Make it known.
Yes, as UPL, and if FUFA is going to come out and veto it, let them come out and say, whatever the clubs have said,
we are quashing it.
We are quashing it, and we are using.
But it will be known on record that you sat and made your
the
decision.
UPL has, and I'll use UPL and FSSL interchangeably because they are one and the same thing. It would be on record that they have processes that work, that they're not just a dormant body. Because if maybe I'll paint a picture for our viewers. We have a company limited by shares that has 17 shareholders, the 16 UPL clubs, and then FUFA as the ex-officio member. FUFA is the only permanent member there. So when you get relegated, you get out. The 3 get out, the 3 that come in are supposed to sign. Never mind that that never happens, but that's what
it's supposed
to have legally. Like now, Bright Stars is supposed to sign some papers to get out of the
As
UPL.
Per the latest document, Bright Stars are still shareholders of the FUFA Super League.
Yes, we are.
And all the other teams that were already.
Yeah, so if they went to court today, they would call me and say, give me some money.
That's the document. That's the document. That's the document on your screen, right? Arua Hill as well is there. You can see it.
I want to put this on record that will not take part in this new format. But yeah, as you can see it on our screen, you have the 17 members. FUFA is in there, and then the 16. Now, in normal corporate governance practice, those 16 clubs, or even the 17 if you added FUFA, are supposed to make decisions through a board of directors that they appoint. I think we have 5 or 6 directors.
There are 5. United Del Regendo is the chairman of the league. Kauma Ivan Frederick, Mando Humphrey Watenga, Sekaja Martin, Seleve David Bunya. Then the secretary, Bainaman Bernard Mpaire.
Exactly. Who also happens to be the CEO of the company. But yeah, so those 5 directors are supposed to act on behalf of this and say, look, we run the league every day, which they have been doing. We run your accounts, we run ABCD on behalf of you 16 people. So there shouldn't be a situation where the 16 actually, Vipers has to come out and speak on their own. We should all inside there be saying, look, our directors, how can we vote on this? How can we go about this business? But that hasn't happened in a long time. For me, that's a largely seasonal or periodic body. It will only work what you see there will come up only if there are elections or a UPL, AGM or something of that sort.
Is that by design? How do we find ourselves in this position, Harold?
I've heard this very many times.
And let me add this. How do we find ourselves in this position that the board of directors that are supposed to represent the UPL clubs are quiet, that the sponsor is quiet? We only have one party, FUFA, speaking very clearly.
I think, and Clive and Emanzi, you can refresh my mind. When did we take the league away from FUFA to the UPL for it to be an independent
That
body?
was after the Ginger Declaration of 2010. So starting with the 2010-2011 season.
So I think FUFA gave up those rights reluctantly because everything seems to be run from there. Even when the format comes up, the UPL doesn't have a voice. And in different places, you must have seen this. You'll hear, the 14 Premier League, English Premier League clubs have voted against ABCD, and it doesn't pass. VAR, how to use it, the PSR rules, profit and sustainability rules, all these things are decided by the club.
Because they're the ones who are going to be directly affected.
Yes. And the FA only comes in to say, for them theirs is even different. They only give you referees, but you also have to manage the referees on your own. And they'll only come in to say, you have a yellow card, you can't play in the FA Cup, and things of the sort. So that is an autonomous body, which we don't have here. The UPL is not independent from the federation.
Yeah.
So in a way, you look at it as one voice. If the federation says we'll have these reforms,
UPL
you automatically know that the UPL has to follow suit. The disappointment is yes, for the UPL secretariat and the members, and I think I spoke somewhere and said that the club chairmen are doing the league or the football in Uganda the biggest disservice ever in history, for not standing up against such things, or for not standing for anything.
Yeah.
If you're for the reforms, please stand up without anyone having to coerce you, or call people like Haji Mandela said. Just stand up and say, look, we like this, we don't like it.
Yeah.
But then the other disappointment is from StarTimes, someone who's invested, I think, up to $7 million in the league over the last 10 years. And over the last 7 or so years.
2018.
Yeah. If something like this happens, you're supposed to come out and say, look, it's my money. I think this season alone, they'll invest $800,000 in direct money to the teams. Even before $800,000, even before you go into the money they'll spend to produce games, broadcast games, pay staff, and do all sorts of things. So for you to be spending close to $1 million,
and you're quiet like nothing,
and you have an agreement that gives you rights
to an extent. They have their own TV station that does broadcast the league. Some of our colleagues who work there were going through the liberty to actually explain the new league format and stuff like that to their viewers, and they were told to stop to talk about anything to do with the new league format. And this was about 3 or 2 weeks to the kickoff of the league, and these are the broadcasters of the league, and they were stopped from sensitizing the public about the new league format. And they're the ones who are supposed to be broadcasting this product. They should actually be the primary source of everything we need to know about the Ghana Premier League. And it takes me back to the question I asked Harold, that what are the chances that FUFA consulted StarTimes about the changes, and what are the chances that StarTimes approved the changes as per the agreement that those bodies have?
There is no way the official broadcaster of the league gives away the double header to someone else they licensed to cover that game. For me, that answers your question. It shows you that, they don't know what's going on.
Let me just take a few comments, Emanzi, and then you will come in. I will start off with, because remember we asked people to just use one word to describe what unfolded on Saturday. I'll start off with Dan Nyeko, who says loud silence. Those are 2 words. We asked for 1 word. I'll start off with Elob, who says mockery. Okay. And then there is Dynamite, who says Dr. Mulindwa Jew.
Jew.
And then Professional Cleaner says, wow. Okay.
That's arriving at Namboole.
You captured that? We do have Eugene Paul, who says a shaming. Nyowe Council says horror. I'm really struggling. Jared Anthony says pathetic. We do have Godson Mwezi, who says disgrace. Deogracious says dictatorship in football. Those are 3 words. Mande Atenyi says shameful. Planet at Tusasibe says magogo. I don't know what that means.
The pictures on your right was the state of the parking.
Very empty.
By the time we showed up, it was completely empty, and it stayed like that until the end of the game.
Okay. Chris says tragic, and then we have Abdul Muchibi, who says awful. Yeah, clearly. But also for those who are struggling to find 1 word, I know this is a tough paper. This is I would struggle as well. Emanzi.
Yeah, I wanted to look at clubs. I think Harold has touched that you have clubs that up to now have failed to have 1 voice. And for different reasons. You have some that I would say do not have enough resources, and maybe have been talked to in a different way. And from what we've heard is that communication was that temwesiba ku Villa ne Vipers. For them they are okay. So manyena kuyo, you as a club. So the smaller clubs, some pretty much are forced to agree, even when their opinion could have been different. Then you have the institutional clubs that I think always try to avoid any sort of politics that drags their name into that. And then you have Vipers who are now standing for the truth and standing alone in this case. Harold, as someone that has been in the UPL, what would it take to have these clubs actually sit and agree and come out with one voice? The smaller clubs, the giants of clubs, because you talk about those that have been quiet, and it might be understandable if Buhimba do not talk, but teams like Express, teams that you think have really shaped and defined Ugandan football for the last so many years, that you'd want their opinion to be known about whatever is going on. But I think we saw a letter from KCCA that really, at the end of the day, I think they changed their mind.
They were on the fence.
After a few discussions or threats, they changed their minds. And then Vipers who are still holding on, and Villa, who you would say are closely near Vipers in terms of saying no. But the voice of the clubs has hardly come out. And why? Because if you talk about Vipers being the only club that officially now is opposing this, then the rest of the clubs have got to say we agree to this because of this, this and that. I don't know if you guys have seen anything good from this, because it has been painted in a way that you cannot even sit to say that maybe this might be one good thing in this entire process. But Harold, what I want to know, how do clubs get one voice, looking at the smallest club and the biggest, and then the institutional clubs?
Let me start here. What, in any society or in any group of people, what would be the catalyst of unity? For me, shared interests. Now, we don't have that in the UPL. We have maybe 7 or 8 institutional clubs. Then we have the individually owned clubs, Vipers, I think Lugazi. I'm not very sure about Buhimba and Calvary, but let's lump them with the
community team clubs.
Yeah, and then you have Villa. I mean, you might say community, but maybe it might not be the case, because I mean, how do they get financed, or what's on paper? That's why I say I'm not sure. But so you have, and then you have Express also with the individually owned clubs. But I can ask Clive Emanzi, Justin, who's the chairman of Express?
Right now, Subi Chiwanuka. His young brother.
When was the last time you saw Mr. Suli in a meeting? When was the last time you saw him in a UPL meeting, or what? Maybe like what? I think I last saw him
for the teams that
maybe like 3 years ago.
I don't remember seeing his face.
But yes, I was speaking about interests. So you'd say maybe clubs would be united by struggle. If you have Vipers, he's getting money out of his pocket and putting it to the team. You have Bright Stars, money out of the pocket. SC Villa, money out of the pocket. So if you bring up something like a double header that's going to affect their revenues, they should come out and say, no, I will not follow that. Then you have KCCA, you have URA, you have UPDF, you have NEC, Maroons, and whatever. These are people on state funds. So whether the day is rainy or shiny, they will exist. Their budgets are already guaranteed. I don't think they get asked questions like, why don't you have funds? Why aren't people turning up for your games? The money will come, they will survive. And people have asked me this question, which side of the coin would you fall if you're up there? And I tell them, look, I have interests as a club, I have budgets. if you take Vipers versus Bright Stars versus Vipers to Namboole, then I lose money. Yeah. Yeah. Like I told you already, you leave off these 6 games because Bright Stars UPDF will be 10, 15, 20 fans. But Vipers, Bright Stars at Kavumba will be packed. We'll make some money off that. So as long as my interests are affected, I'm forced to unite and speak out. So you sit with the people who you identify with. We don't have that uniform identity. But then, even without the uniform identity, the fact that you're lumped up in a company limited by shares, you ought to have one voice. You ought to have one voice. You should, and the Federation proposed this so many times, that we should have breakfasts. Monthly breakfasts, where we sit at the expense of the Federation and talk about the league. But the first few breakfasts they had maybe 5, 10.
Yeah, but Harold, the same Federation you're talking about bringing in such initiatives is the same Federation that fought tooth and nail back in 2012 when Kavuma Kabenge, Fred Mwema and others were trying to build an entity that had one voice. If you remember very well. Yes,
I remember very well. I also tried to bring it up in 3 or 4 years. People look at you like, you're new here. You don't know. Yeah. But I tell you what, yes, and you're very correct, they fought that. And I mean, that's maybe 10 years or 10 or so years ago. And the egos back then were bigger. You have Kavuma Kabenge, you have Moema, you have Dr. Mulindwa, you have Magogo. I would, in this era, I think it would be much easier if the teams bought in. It would be much, much, much easier. Because, and previously, when you had Wakiso, you had, I mean, Wakiso with Musa Tagenda, you have Bright Stars, you have Vipers, you have Villa. When you had Nyago, Diana Nyago, you had a cluster of people who at least had who are like-minded, and we often agreed on a few things. But lastly on that, I'll say that there's a lot of intrigue in these things. You'll be advocating for, let's say we don't want double headers, and for lack of a better example, I'll give Wakiso, since we are no longer here, both of us. Wakiso's problem would be that they are not meeting certain licensing guidelines. They'll go and go to the Federation and see how their problem is sorted out, and that is that. So that lack of unity of purpose, of we need to unite along a certain line, and you'd think that money, if you touched someone's money, you saw how we touched Dr. Mulindwa's money. He came out fighting. We touched Mandela's money. He came out fighting. You'd think that would be a unifier. But then you have the other 8 clubs whose budgets are already guaranteed. There's nothing you're going to tell them about fighting for money. So I have said this a couple of times. The biggest cancer is the institutional clubs. Because one, they're political in nature. Whatever decision they need to take has to be aligned with their political agendas and not football agendas. 2, people always say football has 3 pillars: the business, administration, and then the football itself.
The football trinity.
Yeah, the football trinity. Which one are they promoting? Is it football administration? Do they sit back and say we need to create the
institutional clubs?
Yes.
I think now they are best described as PR machines of the institutions.
Sports washing. So they're not seated there and saying we need to do corporate governance well, run the club well, we want to be like Simba one time or Yanga. I'm giving regional examples. No, they don't. They don't do that. Are they looking to do football the right way? Run an academy the way it should be done, play football the way it should be played? Are they looking to make money? No. So why then should Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa, who's maybe trying to do things the right way and get to the helm of African football, have to suffer because of
You are
someone's decisions. Don't make me say.
and I think he said it well in that interview he had with a Vision Group, because it's like they are not looking at the bigger picture.
Yes.
Because you've been given 25 million and you're promised another 80 million, you think that is good enough.
Yeah.
But you're not actually looking at the bigger picture of where do I want to go, what things do I need to do to get where that I should be getting.
But also, Clive and Harold and Emanzi, you know, it's very easy in this Ugandan setting for someone to say, it's Mulindwa. He can say that, you know, to say, oh, you're not looking at the bigger picture if you look at the 25 million. But for Himba United, they're going to say, listen, 25? Give it once.
It goes back goes back to the question he asked. What is the objective of, what are the objectives of the different teams that are playing in the top tier league? Yes, you are here, but what are your objectives? They all don't have that one shared identity. That also, this is what we want to do, this is where I want to go.
Yeah. Also, Clive, I respect money so much, so much, but 25 million for a football club in this country
is nothing.
I'll tell you, at Vipers maybe it's a week's expenditure. At KCCA maybe a week and a half. At Bright Stars a month at best.
Yeah,
because very economical.
The club officials you'll talk to, for instance, I'll give an example, whose clubs completely failed the club licensing process. But because they were so desperate to have numbers, these clubs were given licenses to play in the Uganda Premier League. There's an official who was telling me that about 2 or 3 years ago, they were denied a license when their pitch was in actually a stable state. Today their pitch is in a more worse state, but they were actually given a license. Because they wanted to keep on doing what? They wanted to keep on having the numbers. They wanted to prove that we have the numbers, everybody is on board, which actually wasn't the case.
And let me take a bit more feedback. Still using one word to describe what we saw on Saturday. Duke of Chitende says drama. We do have Andrew Ahaisa who says shame. And then Past Chizito is saying resign. Not me. Not me.
We all know who they want to resign.
Emperor Augusta says greed. And then we do have a square one who says, Maliamungu who says disrespect. And then Anthony says embarrassing. Goodness me. And then there is Mutanda Nadia who says chitalo. But listen, everything I've read, listen, it was that and much more. It was that and much more. What we saw at Namboole. And I want us to, I don't know, Manzi, if you want to say something before I can ask Harold, where do we go from here?
It's pretty much in the same line. Because if you're talking about a walkover this early in the season against Vipers.
And many more to come.
And maybe many more to come if I do not agree. First of all, when I saw the communication from Vipers, I thought maybe FUFA would sit down and say, you know what, since these people are still refusing to play ball, maybe we will remove their match, go on with the game between KCC and Villa, as we sort this. I did expect that they would go on with the entire arrangement and get to the embarrassment that eventually came. But what is the worst that could happen for Vipers? Because after some, I think 3 or 4 forfeitures, of course, a decision has got to be made according to the FUFA rules. And what are Vipers' chances of coming out as, I think at the end of the day, football should be the winner. And if Vipers came out on top, some might look at it as Vipers have won this and all that, but I think it is football that will be winning at the end of the day. So what is the worst that could happen for Vipers in all this, in terms of technical on the field of play, that after some matches, then if they are not relegated or taken out of the league, maybe in future someone is going to forfeit and remind you that someone actually forfeited games and you did not relegate them. So what is the worst that could happen?
And Harold, while you answer that, as we wrap this up, Vipers' next league game I think is in November. You know, international break, then CAF Champions League. So a month is such a long time in football. There's so much that is going to happen. But how do we get out of this? But also, what is the worst case scenario where we're at?
First of all, I think the person who made the fixtures should have pitted Villa against Vipers.
That was
And
the first
KCC
match.
That was the
against
opening
Chitara.
game of the season.
Oh, really?
But they were very strategic because they knew Vipers were on the continent.
Yeah.
So they're like, you know, katukuteka wote kujja kuzanyiwa, but others will play.
Yeah. What will happen next? There are legal remedies on both sides, what FUFA can do and what Vipers might most likely do. Of course, when you forfeit the game under our FUFA competition rules and the start times rules, you lose the game and the other team takes the 3 points.
There's no provision for when you communicate?
Are you deducting?
You're supposed to
6
communicate
points or
48 hours before.
They communicated 72 hours.
Yeah, so you lose the first game that you're supposed to play. That game, the actual game, you lose that.
Against Chitara.
Yes, against Chitara. And then they could deduct points from the ones that you're going to accumulate from.
So you start in the negatives.
Yes, you start in the negatives.
I think it happened to Police once.
And Proline, I think.
Was
the
it
game
Proline or
against
Police?
Villa.
When Police
The
went
one
to play in the Armed Forces games somewhere, they were
Yes,
deducting points.
yes. It happened to Police, but also when Proline declined to play Villa, citing that they had players on the national team, they lost 6 points. That
Yet the
game,
rules were clear. Can you imagine?
yeah, the game that you're supposed to play, and then the next point, your next 3 points. It's even not just the next game. Your next 3 points. If you never get them, you might carry them to the big league or whatever else. But yeah, remedies on the side of the federation is basically along those lines. Forfeitures, points deductions, financial fines, and things of the sort. From the letter that the federation wrote, replying to Viper's letter, it looked like it would head that way. If you don't show up, you signed the FUFA DR form and the FUFA declaration of compliance form. So you must show up, you must play. If you don't show up, the law will take its course. The law has not yet taken its course up to now. Maybe you'll say it's Monday, let's wait for Tuesday. There's an emergency committee meeting. If it has happened, we'll wait to see what comes out of that. But I don't think it would be adding salt to injury for you to come out and put a statement out and say we are punishing Vipers. Things will blow up. Things will blow up. On the side of Vipers, one, there's something unique that I was reading about when I read Dr. Mulindo's letter. There's something in law that we call a derivative action. When you're a member of a company, a minority member of a company, like the FSSL Limited, you have the right in law to bring an action if the company has done you an injustice. In this case, if the UPL of the FSSL has done you an injustice, you come out and say, look, their inaction or their actions affect me in a certain way, and I need the courts of law to hear us out and give an order. Now, in this case, we've seen, we've talked the whole evening, we've talked about how the UPL has
been silent.
Has been very silent. Those are the first people you say, look, you're supposed to represent me in this. You're supposed to respect my rights. You're supposed to A, B, C, D, and you've not done it. I'm bringing an action to put that right. Two, there is, we need to look at the timelines, the licensing timelines, and also the timelines for these rules to come out. The licensing calendar was put out, I think, 20th June, in time for everybody to prepare. And clubs started preparing. I mean, players, stadia, governance, administration, finance, and all of those things, including that Form 901, which is the Declaration of Compliance form. It's one of the forms that you have to sign, fill in, and hand over to FUFA. In that form, you're literally saying you'll follow all the CAF rules, all the FUFA rules, and everything that is in the spirit of football that FUFA puts before you, and you'll oblige and play all your games. So you sign that, submit it, and you're bound. Uganda Cup, whatever you're supposed to play, including that double header. Now, from 20th June, you come to the end of the licensing cycle, 15th August. You submit all your papers, you get the license the Monday after. I think 15th was a Friday. The Monday after, these are the clubs.
That is after the inspection from
yes, inspections and all of that. These are the clubs that have qualified to take part in the 2025-2026 season. So that's 15th August. 20th August, the circular with league reforms comes out. So you've already submitted your documents. You've submitted these documents in expectation of the old league format.
Because nothing has been said.
Yes, and everything that has been happening, you're sure you're going to play the old league format. Never mind that there were rumors. You cannot operate on rumors. So 20th August, that circular comes out and it's saying, look, we have this format that we've proposed, we have this money, contracts should be 2 years long. And
with all the different changes.
With the different provisions. And then clubs now come out. KCC, I think, had already written because they had attended a meeting earlier on. And then Villa and Vipers come out with a joint statement. Then things now begin bubbling up. 20th August, that's when that comes out. They are refined, I think, a week later. We get a document with the refined league format and after the consultative meetings. But all of this is happening after you've been licensed. Take this as buying a bus ticket from here to Arua. And on the ticket it says 10,000 shillings from here to Arua. And we'll take you, will not divert anywhere and things of the sort. When you get to Karuma, they tell you, boss, add us money. You already boarded the bus on these terms and it's moving. And now the terms are changing a bit. Then now you bring me to the latest document is the competitions rules. On the 25th of September. That you're already a licensed entity, but you're now expected to play to these rules, which
you
completely new set of rules. It's not only legally wrong, but even in no more
circumstances.
No more circumstances. It shouldn't be that way. You inform people before they submit to their licensing. If we had started this battle in June, we'd probably be in a good place now. Maybe Vipers would have told us, I will not participate. And FUFA would have said, you haven't passed the licensing system, and now we have 15 clubs, or they would call and say, Bright Stars, come back, we love you. We'll be ready. But so you get to that. I'm bringing all this up to show you that if Vipers came up and said, look, we have a legal expectation that we were going to play from the old format and we were licensed based on that. We signed players based on that. Our CAF calendar and all other calendars were based on that. Our budgets and everything, because now you're introducing double headers that are affecting their budgets and things of that sort. They're all based on that. We have a huge student community. We didn't expect that they would not be able to watch any of our games because we're playing away from home and all those things.
They contribute greatly to the collections.
So if you brought all of those things, then you now question, is the decision to stick by the format right? If it's a decision that comes after we've been licensed, don't I have the right to look at the rules and regulations that are going to govern me for the upcoming season? That's something that that maybe if Vipers chooses to take it on, and I saw the other day you had Council Alex Luganda here, if he chooses to take that on, those are some of the arguments that he'll be putting before the court. Now, I'll also say this, that sports law works in a funny way. We sort of like pretend that we are in a private universe of our own and the normal rules and regulations that work in the normal setup do not apply to us. And of course, Councillor Dennis Lukambi on the other side for FUFA will be saying, look, you're barred from taking football matters to court. And ordinarily that would be a KO for Alex Luganda's case. But we've seen so many cases come up. We've seen federations sue, we've seen clubs sue federations. Right now, Manchester City sued the Premier League. West Ham sued the FA. No, Sheffield sued West Ham and the FA. So there
are avenues.
Yes, there are avenues to resolve this, and hopefully
we've had Proline and KCCFC attempting to go to cash.
We've seen that.
Attempting is the one. It is the one.
Hopefully we won't get there. But still we have avenues to resolve this. Internal sports avenues to resolve this. The Minister of Sports could get involved. The NCS could get involved. The senior minister of sports of education, sports and education.
I'm told he's already on top of it.
Yeah, even, I mean, better. And I hate to be the one saying this, the president of the country, from his channel knowledge and all of that, could get involved to resolve this. Because the team at the center of this was at the core of our success at Chan.
Yeah.
Torach, Okelo, Mukundani, and all the other players from Vipers, Yunus and the rest. Big names at Chan. So it's a national issue that I wouldn't be surprised if the powers that be get involved. And I think that would be a quicker avenue, because it would be as good as sit everybody in the room than going to court or going to CAS or wherever.
Listen, Clive, I see you eating. Unless you have
there's a message for Harold here. According to one of the directors at Vipers, Simon Sekancha, he's saying that he's enjoying Harold's submission. He should join them at Vipers.
But listen, this discussion can't end. It can't. It just can't. Because every time Harold speaks, I have like a million questions that I want to throw at you. Because when you speak about all those, avenues, the legal ones and non-legal, you remember that last paragraph in that letter from Vipers where they said they will explore all the other available options to try and seek redress. And that says a lot. That says a lot. And I know our producer is telling us to, go on to the final segment, but that's why I say this discussion. The producer
can go.
This discussion. I think, there is a part of the very last paragraph of that letter.
The second page should be the second page.
Yeah, second page, very last paragraph. There you have it. Please be reminded, the very last one, please be reminded that Vipers will use available means within the confines of the football laws and best practices to seek redress for the justice of the game and protect.
But I tell you what,
paragraph.
The game needs that. We need to sit down. We're at a level where I think in East Africa we're lagging behind. We're only better than these countries at having talent.
Yes.
We have the best talent.
But in terms of ordered organization, we are lagging behind.
You go to Rwanda, you go to Tanzania, I won't even mention Tanzania. Kenya is in the pits, I'll not mention them. You go to Tanzania, you go to Rwanda, you go to Ethiopia. All the teams, you see Ugandan players going to Ethiopia and it's greener pastures.
And now going to South Sudan.
South Sudan, greener pastures, greener pastures. Most of these people, we have the talent. We have the most important thing that they don't have. But they're better organized than us, they're better financed than us, and we need to be shaped through fire. We need to go through all of these things and then learn. And out
then who is
process,
to take that lead? Looks like the people at the home are not interested in taking the direction because they are scared of order. And I'm sure all this mess is happening because the people at the home don't want people, especially at club level, to be organized. Because the more you organize, the more you become the threat. So you're better off in the mess for them to continue doing whatever they are doing.
Absolutely. But to answer your question, Clive, Dr. Lawrence Mulino has already taken the lead. So we only sit here and watch how far he can take it.
Everyone is scared of joining him.
And for me, the first step was a big one. The first step was a big one. That double header didn't happen because of one man. Because of one man. That shows you how much power he has. And for lack of a better comparison, he has more power than the other 15 clubs combined.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Because very few of us, guys.
Because he confessed.
Yes.
They agreed to play in the league, but they kept on calling him, urging him to keep on pushing.
No.
So they are scared for their lives, but they're also praying that you keep on pushing whatever you're pushing.
Imagine if I came out and said, no, Bright Stars will not take part in the league. The whole country would be laughing. What's this guy saying?
We'll say what is Harold clearly.
what is this guy saying?
And Harold, when you speak about the fact that, you know, Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa starts the conversation, and maybe this could be the turning point, and I'm just saying maybe this could be, I think when it comes to us getting to an orderly manner, there is got to be someone that leads, that takes the lead in that battle. But now the question is, maybe you know Dr. Lawrence Mulindwa even way more than us. How firm is he? I know he's spoken about, forget about the people who say they're firm in things they believe in. I think he's also firm in things he believes in. He's the right man for this?
I'll tell you what. There's an interview that this show did at Chitende. You remember that?
Yeah.
But also, if you look at Dr. Mulindwa's history, there's a time, and when I was still a little boy at the university, I hated the man so much. You know why?
Why?
Because he just dealt David Oboa out of camp.
Everyone hated him.
That day I met who does this?
All of us hated him without actually knowing the real story.
Yeah. No, we didn't care. We didn't care. In my juvenile self, I was saying, look, whatever the case is,
you don't do that.
David has to be on the team. I think in that same campaign, it scored.
Yeah, we're playing Kenya in 2 days' time, because it was a Thursday, the game is on Saturday.
Yeah. So, and that David is a big ego. Dr. Mulindwa knew we needed David to qualify, and he did what he did. So you're asking me how firm? That's almost what, 15 years of firmness? Between that incident and this, you can tell how firm the man is. But also, I think at the level, there's something we call death ground. That when you've invested as much as he's invested, and maybe for context, I might even be downplaying these figures, but from what I see, that team clearly runs on maybe $2 or $3 million per season. If someone is investing that money,
annually,
there is, every 10 months, continuously, without fail, it only gets better. You see a Vipers this season, it will be a better Vipers the next. It will be a better Vipers the other year. Out of, I think, the last 10 titles, they've won 7 or 6. So that tells you about the man's resolve, the man's conviction, but also for me, he strikes me as a man who is grounded in the things he believes in. It's not that he's catching a wave. My only disappointment is that it took this long to get here and to have a voice that can speak on behalf of clubs.
Exactly, because on so many occasions, we've always wondered when Magogan Company are pressing these clubs, why is the Vipers and all these other people are quiet on so many occasions. So probably to go to that level where they are like, we can't be quiet anymore. It is time to stand up and be counted, and the time is now.
I think this time round, we stepped on the one toe that we didn't have to step on. Most of the reforms that have been coming through didn't affect Vipers in a fundamental way. Most of these, double licensed players, no transfers halfway through the season, no contracts for minors. They looked at them as
we can do
tiny little things. They don't really bite us hard. But now this bites hard. When you look at the interview you're talking about, Clive, the one with the new vision, he is speaking from the heart. He is showing you clearly that you not only attacked him, but you've attacked his establishment. And he ends up by saying, if we have to leave football, we'll leave it. Do you know how hard it is to leave football? Ask Manchester United fans. It's not easy. But he says that. And for someone who's invested all he has invested, it's very, very deep and telling when he says, if I have to leave football, I'll leave it.
Okay. Our time is fast spent, unfortunately. Can you guys imagine we've been here for 2 hours? It feels like 30 minutes, right?
I thought the extra 30 was approved. It wasn't?
There's no new format here, Clive.
There's no new format. There's no new format. We don't want to see what we saw at Namboole. We might come back next Monday and I'm the only one on set. So the new format wasn't really approved by the boss. But Harold, thank you very much. We have about 4 minutes. I don't know if it's fair to give you 1 minute to sum this up.
Yeah.
Because the question again is, you know, you've spoken about the legal options and stuff like that, and someone is going to be thinking, for football's sake, there is not any other option apart from going legal? Is that bad that we've pressed people that it's no longer at the point of sitting on a round table?
So the first thing I'll say is it's not too late to revert to the old format. You let the teams play their first round games as they are. Then in January, they'll play the away legs or home legs or whatever. It's not too late to revert to the 30 games and one round, or the league basis that we had. It's not too late. So maybe the emergency committee might see that and say, look, can we revert? Can we call Vipers? Maybe write a small sheet on a sticky note and say we are sorry.
And slick it in like...
asking for too much.
Yeah, I know I'm asking for too much, but I think the logical thing, the most logical thing, if the federation has learned anything from the double-header fiasco, is to say, look, we'll revert to the old. It's the least costly, and Vipers,
and
please play Chitara in Buhimba, and let's get this thing going. Good enough, the new Chitara president is cooperative. He will say, okay, let's play the game, move on. That's the easiest one. For me, from there, the next step is our political heads for the Ministry of Sports and Ministry of Education and Sports to sit down with these people, the federation head and the club heads, and make a decision. Anything outside that is going to be bubbly. We don't know which side it will go.
Okay.
We might have a league, we might not have a league, we might have Vipers, we might not have Vipers.
All right. Thank you, Harold. Thank you so much. Goodness Lord. I can't believe I still have questions. But thank you, Emanzi. Thank you, Clive. Anything?
Not yet. I'm very sure the people with that information, they are waiting for the Monday night sports shows to end for them to release information.
Do they know we can do a new format and do Sport Nice tomorrow? But thank you all so very much. There has been so much that is happening in the world of sport. I mean, can you believe we didn't speak about the Uganda Cranes? They have a game against Botswana, a FIFA World Cup qualifier on Thursday, but never mind, they also have a game against Algeria. So probably next Monday, we'll spare some time for that. Thank you all so much for your comments that did come through our social media platforms. Let's keep the conversation going. The hashtag is NTV Sport Nice. A huge shout out to Plascon for sponsoring the show, but most importantly to you for being with us from 10 p.m. all the way till now. Thank you, Emanzi. Thank you, Clive. Thank you, Harold, once again. And to all of you for watching, from myself and the entire team behind the scenes, we do say good night and catch you again next Monday.